a WikiVidi Documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Apostle, film. Apostle is a 2018 British-American period horror film written and directed by Gareth Evans and starring Dan Stevens, Lucy Boynton, Mark Lewis-Jones, Bill Milner, Kristine Froseth, and Michael Sheen. It had its world premiere at Fantastic Fest in September 2018. The film began streaming on Netflix on October 12, 2018. It has received positive reviews from critics for its visuals, cinematography, performances, and unique blend of horror genres. Plot: in 1905, Thomas Richardson travels to a remote Welsh island to rescue his beloved sister, Jennifer, after she is kidnapped by a mysterious cult who demand a ransom. Thomas is a former Christian missionary who was tortured attempting to introduce Christianity to Peking during the Boxer Rebellion, and has thus abandoned religion. Posing as a new convert, he arrives and encounters the leader, Malcolm Howe, who founded the cult with two other convicts, Frank and Quinn. They claim that the previously barren island was rendered fertile via blood sacrifice, with each member keeping a jar for regular bloodletting, which Thomas witnesses after venturing out after curfew. He also discovers teenagers Jeremy and Fionn, the children of Frank and Quinn, respectively, sneaking home after a tryst. Blackmailing him, Thomas forces Jeremy to admit that Jennifer is being held captive and is being ransomed, as the cult do not have the resources to pay for the continuous animal sacrifices needed to maintain the island's fertility. Malcolm suspects a spy has infiltrated the community and questions newcomers, including Thomas. One of the men attacks Malcolm, who is saved after Thomas intervenes and is injured. Malcolm's daughter Andrea tends to his wounds and Malcolm thanks him. That night, Malcolm parades Jennifer through the village, claiming she is a traitor and that she will be killed if her co-conspirator does not come forward. He organizes a party for the next night as cover for a search of the living quarters. Thomas accesses a tunnel underneath Malcolm's house and in the sewers encounters an old woman who chases him. He escapes to a beach cave covered in markings indicating the presence of a deity on the island. Andrea finds him there and he reveals the truth about Jennifer. Malcolm ventures underground and feeds his blood to an old woman, the goddess, imprisoned in tree roots, causing them to briefly bloom. Fionn informs Jeremy she is pregnant. Knowing Quinn will not allow them to be together, they decide to leave the island and elope. Quinn slaughters her in a rage and Jeremy returns and finds her murdered. Quinn frames Jeremy, who flees before he and Thomas are captured. Thomas and Andrea are forced to watch as Jeremy is ritualistically murdered. Quinn then declares Malcolm a false prophet and demands he prove himself by killing Thomas. Frank, enraged by the death of his son, suddenly attacks, allowing Thomas to escape. He flees to an isolated cabin where Frank is killed by a masked figure, the Grinder. Quinn shoots Malcolm in the shoulder and Thomas hides in the house, where he witnesses the Grinder force-feeding blood to the goddess. He finds Jennifer, but is knocked unconscious. He awakens strapped to a table and being pulled into a meat grinder, which mangles his hand before he kills the Grinder. Quinn reveals to a captured Jennifer and Andrea that he is the one who imprisoned the goddess after they arrived and realized her powers, claiming that Malcolm didn't have the courage to feed her what she really needed. He tells the women that they will be impregnated repeatedly by him and their babies sacrificed to feed the goddess. The goddess begs Thomas to set her free. He grants her wishes by immolating her. As the village burns and the villagers flee to the boat, Thomas returns and kills Quinn, but not before sustaining several stab wounds. He frees Jennifer and Andrea, but collapses soon after, bidding them farewell as they escape to the departing ship. His faith restored, Thomas is discovered by an injured Malcolm as his blood replenishes the land, the grass, and vegetation, consuming him as his transformation into a living god begins. Production. On November 2, 2016, it was announced that Gareth Evans was working on a new project that he would write and direct. Dan Stevens was confirmed to be cast in the lead role. In March 2017, the film was picked up by Netflix. Later that month, it was announced that Michael Sheen, Lucy Boynton, Bill Milner and Kristine Froseth had joined the cast. Filming started in April 2017. The film was largely shot on a set built at Margam Park in Neath, Port Talbot, Wales. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know more?